Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. Have a lot of news for you today. So we're just going to go ahead and get started right on into it. The very first one here is off of numbersusa.com. And it says, DHS granted over 100 green cards in 2015. DHS has released their 2015 Yearbook of Immigration Statistics report that shows that 1,031 immigrants were granted lawful permanent residence as either temporary, were granted asylum or refugee status in 2015. The yearbook compiles tables that provide data on who received green cards as well as other data on immigration enforcement actions, including apprehensions, arrests, removals, and returns. According to Table 6 of the report, over half of those who received green cards came through chain migration categories. Migrants who were immediate relatives of U.S. citizens counted for 5,068 of the green cards awarded in fiscal year 15. 265,367 went to spouses. 66,740 went to children, while 132,961 went to parents of U.S. citizens. 15,910 green cards went to family-sponsored immigrants. 24,533 were awarded to those who fit the first family preference of unmarried adult children of U.S. citizens and their children. The second preference of spouses, adults, and minor children of U.S. alien residents accounted for 104,892 green cards. Is given to married children of U.S. citizens plus their spouses and minor children and accounted for 24,271 green cards. 60,214 immigrants were awarded green cards through the fourth preference that includes of U.S. citizens plus their spouses and minor children. The report also showed that 47,934 green cards were granted through the diversity lottery. The diversity lottery grants visas based on pure luck to people regardless of family ties, skills, education, the United States, exposing this country to national security threats, espionage, terrorism, and criminal refuge. Resettlement program, refugees can receive a green card after 1 year. In 2015, 118,431 refugees received green cards. Dramatically as a result of President Obama's goal to increase the refugee program in fiscal year 16, including shortening the screening process from 18 months to just 3 months to reach his goal. Already in fiscal year 17, an average of 411 refugees are being resettled per day, compared to only 65 in 5 days at the beginning of fiscal year 16. And there is a link in this URL that you can click to access the yearbook if you would like to take a look at that for your own research. All of these URLs are listed in the description of this video for your convenience. The next story that I have for you is off of rawstory.com, and it says, I am appalled. Attorney who sued to release FBI's Clinton warrant shows no probable cause. California defense attorney E. Randall Schoenberg, who successfully sued to have a search warrant for Hillary Clinton's emails released, said on Tuesday that the order did not meet the standard of probable cause. Unsealed on Tuesday, Magistrate Kevin Fox in Manhattan granted the October 30 warrant to search Anthony Weiner's laptop based exclusively on FBI contention that it may have contained classified emails exchanged between Clinton and Weiner's wife, Huma Abedin, according to Politico. Schoenberg wrote on Facebook that he was appalled after seeing the warrant because the FBI presented nothing at all that amounted to probable cause. You will have to ask Judge Fox or the agent in charge, whose name has been redacted, or why they thought they might find evidence of a crime, why they felt it necessary to inform Congress, and why they even sought this search warrant, Schoenberg said. The search warrant in this, take a look at that. You can pull it up and view that at your, I'm trying to get this thing to scroll up here so we can see if there's more to this article or if that's all there is. And it would appear to be that's all there is. You can pull that up and take a look at those URLs for yourself. Now, the next one is off of Liberty Writers News, and it says, CIA is billing, try that again, CIA is in big trouble over Russia hacks after what top congressman did today. And says, oh man, the CIA is in really big trouble now over the whole Russia hack thing. Now Congress is coming after them, not because they lied about it, but because they leaked a top secret document about it. Congressman Peter King told ABC News, we have supposedly CIA Director John Brennan leaking information to the Washington Post to a biased newspaper like the New York Times, findings and conclusions that he's not telling the House Intelligence Committee. And there's video in this if you want to take a look at that. The article goes on and says, I think he really hit the nail on the head here. Why would the CIA be leaking a top secret document without an agenda? I'll tell you why. Because they're trying to manipulate us. You can bet your, well, you know what? A bunch of whiny Democrat politicians are going to come out and say the Congress is being witty. We should trust the CIA. Sure, America may need an intelligence community, but we should not trust the CIA. They lied about 9/11. They lied about Iraq. Hell, those sleazebags would murder innocent people in a heartbeat to get their way. Trust is not something they deserve. It says, so if you believe that we should at least investigate these master manipulators, show your support and help us and share this everywhere. The next article that we have is off of Conservative Tribune, and it says, satellite photos confirm China's militarized its man-made islands. And its islands have been a source of controversy in the Pacific, and recently released satellite images indicate that tensions may be further heightened. Released by Asia Maritime Transparency Initiative, reportedly showed that China had installed weapon systems on all 7 artificial islands it has built in the contested waters, according to CNN. In particular, the images depicted hexagonal structures containing anti-aircraft guns, along with other weapon systems that would guard against cruise missiles on Fiery Cross, Mischief, Subby, Gavin, Hughes, Johnson, and Cataron reefs. The China government, or the Chinese government, had already placed military-linked airstrips on 3 of its artificial islands, according to AMTI, an affiliate of the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington, D.C. Now, with the addition of newly erected defense mechanisms, China could be preparing the islands to be military strongholds, despite a pledge from Chinese leadership that it has no intentions of militarizing the area. Video, and there's pictures of these islands in this URL if you want to take a look at these satellite photos of what they actually found. And there's something trying to play here, so let's get that shut down. There we go. It says, however, the nation's defense ministry has called the military installations proper and lawful and created for self-defense. If others are flexing their military muscles at your doorstep, are you not even supposed to have a slingshot in hand just in case? A statement from Chinese officials said, according to CNN. In September 2015, China's President Xi Jinping defended the suspected militarization of the islands as the country's efforts to uphold territorial sovereignty and lawful, legitimate maritime rights and interests, Reuters reported. But U.S. officials have had a slightly different perspective on the situation of being land-based attempt to put close systems that you would normally find on a naval ship on a concrete superstructure on these features to provide some sort of close-in, last-ditch, rapid-firing weapon systems to try and defeat approaching cruise missiles, Admiral Michael McDivitt of the Center for Naval Analysis told AMTI. President Barack Obama has done some talking with Chinese about their interest in the South China Sea, according to Reuters, but with his term ending soon, President-elect Donald Trump will have to determine his own approach to the situation. We don't know yet entirely what Trump's South China Sea policy will be, but many of his advisors have been critical of the Obama administration for being too weak. Ashley Townsend, a research fellow at the United States Studies Center at the University of Sydney, Australia, said, according to CNN. This could be Trump's first real test in foreign policy as the United States president. The next article we have here is off of the express.co.uk, and it says China and U.S. war. Beijing prepares to take Taiwan by force before Trump's president. The Chinese government has indicated that it should be ready to seize Taiwan by force before Donald Trump takes office. The state-owned newspaper Global Times, seen as a mouthpiece for ruling Communist Party, wrote the Chinese mainland should display its resolution to recover Taiwan by force. The editorial piece went on to describe the recent comments by the U.S. president-elect regarding Taiwan as a farce. It stressed that China is now forced to be vigilant and forestall any potential U.S. actions regarding the matter with their own actions. The paper wrote, it might be time for the Chinese mainland to reformulate its Taiwan policy, force as a main option, and carefully prepare for it. If the Chinese mainland won't be, or try that again, if the Chinese mainland won't pile on more pressure over reunification by using force, the chance of peaceful unification will only slip away. Independent forces on the island publicly believe that the time is on their side. They can turn the tables with the help of international forces. The future of Taiwan must not be shaped by Washington. Last Sunday, Mr. Trump questioned the need for U.S. to maintain formal relations with Beijing instead of Taiwan. He said, I fully understand the one China policy, but I don't know why we have to be bound by a one China policy unless we make a deal with China having to do with other things, including trade. Tensions between the president-elect and China had become strained after Mr. Trump had a phone conversation with Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen, the first such contact between the heads of states of the two countries since 1979. Since the 1970s, the global community has been communicating with the two under the One China Arrangement, which states that countries can maintain formal diplomatic relations with either China or Taiwan, but not both. The rift between the two has existed since the communists won the Chinese Civil War in 1949, defeating the nationalists who fled to Taiwan. While he did not mention Trump's Taiwan comments, China ambassador to the United States, Kui Tankai, said on Wednesday that China would never allow issues involving its national sovereignty or territorial integrity to be bargaining chip in the U.S.-China relations. Tankai said basic norms of international relations should be observed, certainly not seen as something you can trade off. And indeed, national sovereignty and temporal integrity are not bargaining chips. Absolutely not. I hope everybody would understand that, unquote. Cool. I mean, this just keeps getting better and better. The next one's off of Liberty Writers News, and it says, Trump just told China exactly what they can do with the drone they stole. And you'll recall the other day, China captured and stole U.S. underwater drone despite it clearly being marked as ours. China tried to blame us, but Obama was too busy golfing to care. Luckily, Trump stepped in. He fired a tweet in the afternoon at China that is basically a big FU to the Chinese government. See, he says, we should tell China that we don't want the drone they stole back. Let them keep it. Of course, this was not the first tweet about the stolen drone. Earlier in the morning at 4:30 a.m., he had gone after them for disgusting actions and said, China steals United States Navy research drone in international waters, rips it out of the water, and takes it to China in unprecedented act. Crazy to me how upset liberals are getting that Donald Trump has finally taken on China after their horrible trade deals, huge naval buildup, currency manipulation, and use of slave labor. How Trump doesn't care about their opinions. He is too busy making America great again. Have that article is off of express.co.uk, and it says Russia boasts about enormous destructive power of missiles ahead of the crunch NATO talks. Russia has devastating missiles of enormous destructive power as it gets set to deploy yet more rocket launches to its European borders, a senior military commander has begged. Colonel General Sergei Karakev, chief of Russia's strategic missile forces, claims that the country has developed weapons able to overcome practically any water obstacle. He added, in the current geographical situation, the strategic nuclear forces are the guarantor of the security of the Russian Federation and its allies, as well as the independence of foreign and diplomatic, or try that again, as well as independence of its foreign and domestic policy. His comments come ahead of landmark talks between NATO and Russia on Monday, following months of high tensions between the two powers. NATO suspends cooperation with Russia following the annexation of Crimea in 2014, but news of the talks has spread rumors both sides could be trying to improve relations. Ahead of the talks, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said the two parties were working together on military exercise, maritime defense, and cyber attacks. He added, when tensions run high as today, it is even more important to have direct dialogue with Russia. Both sides have fixed their military muscles this year, with NATO troops practicing large-scale military drills in Poland in June, while Putin reportedly has more than 55,000 soldiers stationed on European border. Putin's forces have also deployed missiles in Kaliningrad, or I'm not sure I pronounced that right, Kaliningrad, maybe, the exclave that borders Poland and Lithuania, sparking fears Russia could be set to attack. While the talks suggested diminishing hostilities, one senior commander said Russia is still planning to expand its nuclear and missile patrols in response to forthcoming threats next year. General Valery Gerasimov, I'm guessing, the chief of general staff and the deputy Russian defense minister, told foreign military officials Russia would pay particular attention to keep our strategic nuclear forces at a level that would ensure the containment of aggression against Russia and its allies, meeting the parameters under the Treaty on Strategic Offensive Arms. He also claimed the expanded presence of NATO's forces near the Russian border is perceived as a challenge by Moscow, who would adequately respond to emerging security threats. And the last one that I have for you in this episode is off of KUH, or see if I got that right, KULN, I guess it is, 8.com, and it says, snowplow driver gets stuck in 65 below zero temperatures. And there is video in this if you want to pull it up to take a look at that at your leisure. It says, Cody, Wyoming, a blizzard in the Beartooth Mountains outside Cody trapped snowplow drivers and even the tow truck that came to pull them out. An amazing rescue saved one plow truck driver who spent all night in the cab of his plow. He survived deadly cold and wind. In Cody Monday morning, just as temperatures rose above freezing for the first time in 4 days, the blinding, blowing snow trapped a big backhoe in a drift. It had to be pulled out with another rig. All over town, tow truck operators were pulling cars out of the snow, even as blizzard blinded them. But one of the men who saved Wyoming Department of Transportation tow truck driver says conditions in the mountains outside Yellowstone Sunday morning were much worse. Eagle Recovery owners Mike Wood said the temperature gauge on one of our trucks was reading 65 below zero. Mechanic and tow truck operator Brian Bragg remembered the wind was blowing 55 or 60 miles an hour at least. The weather was so bad, 25 miles outside Cody on the Chief Joseph Highway Saturday night, a Wyoming DOT snowplow was stuck in snowdrifts. Tow truck operator Josh Parsons drove drove a huge rig up the mountain to bring the snowplow and its driver back home to safety. Another snowplow led him toward tight curves and switchbacks, but Parson explained the truck that was guiding me hit the first drift and it took him right out of the road. Parson pulled him back on the road and they were headed to the stranded plow driver deep in the mountains. He said, and that's when we hit the big drift, probably 5 or 6 feet deep. Truck slid off again, and then that's when I went in. We started sliding off the road. The boss, Mike Wood, got the call then. It was 2 a.m. His wife begged him not to go. Carissa Wood explains, when I looked at the temperature and the situation and where they were going, I just couldn't believe it. I've never seen it like that before. Wood knew it would be dangerous when he it says when he Bragg arrived. Okay, that's some kind of mistype there. To pull out the snowplows and the huge tow truck, it was even worse than he had imagined. He said, from the tow truck to one of my wreckers, it was cold enough to freeze my eyelids in that 200 feet. The men got the large tow truck and the snowplow back on the road, but the snowplow kept getting stuck in the drifts. Wood said one 3-foot drift was a mile long. The distant plow operator was alone in the dark and cold, miles away, but Wood and Bragg finally made it to the plow that had been stranded all night long. They found the driver was safe. He was warm, in good spirits. He was happy to see us. They turned the plow around in the road. Wood says the plow truck driver started plowing again, clearing the roads back to Cody. Wood's crew continued to pull cars and trucks out of drifts through Monday. Wyoming Department of Transportation spokesman Cody Beers said his plow crews continued to clear the roads for night and day through Monday. So there's the story of a big snowstorm that has taken place in Wyoming. Wow. One blizzard, and I just as soon not have to go through that again, but there you go. And that's all the news that I have for you in this episode, and you never know when I'm going to come up with another one. If you like what we do here, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and share it around. Let everybody know that we're bringing the news to them here. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the little bell beside the subscribe button so you get notifications in your email when I put a show up. We'll see you later.